Hey there, Blabbers. We're super excited to be with you again this week. We lost Misty. I don't know where she went, but she'll be back in a minute. It's got a lot of technology. Hey, guys, welcome to the show this week. We're super excited that you have decided to join us and spend your Thursday evening with us. It is, I don't know, I'm getting feedback from somebody. Is that you? Is that you, Julie? Misty, did you just want to put your own grand entrance?
I don't know what happened. I was just all waving, and then it said it had like an advertisement to. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Shirai.
Well, hello, everybody. Yes. Well, we are, like I said, we are super excited to be back with you this week. You can see we're one down again. And this time it's because our blessed little Carlonda is super sick. And if you have been following her on social media, then you know she's really sick. And she thought she was going to be able to be here tonight. And she messaged us right for the show. And she was like, I can't put my headphones in. It hurts my ears too much. So all our love and hugs go out to Carlonda. I don't know who is moving and making all that noise. Who is
That's
that?
Misty and her fan.
Is it your fan?
Can y'all hear? I had it last time. You can hear my fan?
Yeah, it's your fan.
It's Misty's fan.
Okay,
She's trying to fan us all.
Look, I muted you. It's you.
Okay. I had it on last week and no one said anything. I'm hot in this garage, but I will take it off and sweat for y'all. Let me go take it off.
Put it down.
Sweat, girl. No.
Put it down. One moment.
It's blowing your microphone, what it is.
Okay, I know which one it is.
Listen. All right, so let's jump in while Misty is going to check on her fan. Let's jump into our hot topic this week. So I don't know if everybody. Oh wait, you know, I want to say hi to people first. Listen, I'm all over the place right now. Shirai's here, Kim's here, Jada's here, and of course the ever illustrious Robin. We were just talking about you in the green room, Robin. Misty, you're muted. Listen, Misty. Now you're not muted.
Yeah, what here? No, I'm joking. No, Robin.
Yeah, we were talking about Robin. We were talking about Robin. We were like, Robin, man, she's always there. We love all of you. We love Shirai, Kim, Jada, Robin. We love y'all. So hot topic. Texas governor issued state mandate executive order. You must have a mask on when you go in public. Anybody else's state do that? Louisiana?
Not by state, but parishes and cities have.
Okay, I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, East Baton Rouge Parish did. That starts tomorrow. Misdemeanor to the business that allows you in without the mask.
Wow.
Yeah. And St. Tammany Parish started theirs a couple days ago.
And as you can see, we're the only one parish. I want to say parish when I was talking to Fair. Is every county in Texas or just certain ones?
So I just was looking I just pulled that up when we were in the green room. We were talking about it. And before I go any further, Ramen says something.
Yes, you are. You have all our information.
So apparently it's for any county who's had 20 or more cases of COVID. Now, here's my question on this. Let's just be real for a minute.
Yeah.
I have no idea what counties have had more than 20 cases.
I don't
We
think anybody knows.
travel. So I could be in a county
That's true.
had 20 or a county that's had 4. I have no idea. So as far as I'm taking it is just put your mask on when you go into public because you don't know.
Yeah.
So but that's the rule that's come down. What about Arizona, Rochelle?
No, we're supposed to, but Arizona, we don't care here apparently because our state is lit red.
Lit red.
We're like one of 2 hotspots in the country.
Yeah, like
because-
Houston is real bad. I think they've maxed out on hospitals right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
where
well, do you realize out of the top 5 metroplexes in the country that are hotspots, Texas has 3.
3 of them.
I'm like, really?
Yeah, so
Houston
we're
has
supposed
20 or more
to.
cases. Baltimore had 300 deaths. Yeah, I'm telling you, people are not taking this seriously. And I keep seeing people just up in arms about, were they just talking about you, Robin? We love you. Yeah, we were. People, listen, I've got my challenge going on right now with a teacher group, and we've got over 800 teachers in the challenge, and they are on fire talking about. Yesterday, I posed a question to them, and it was, "What are you most concerned about going to school next year?" They're just like, these masks. What are we going to do with these masks? And I don't know if y'all, I know Julie, you sent us a TikTok. I've seen them all over the TikTok about the kids and what they're going to listen. As someone who's taught first grade, and I don't care, even my 4th graders would have done it, probably my 5th graders, the whole chewing on it or sneezing and being snot inside the mask. And I'm
It's going to happen.
Not a slingshot.
Slingshot. I don't know. What are y'all thinking? I mean,
well, I
Michelle?
purchased some shields, face shields, and
I
I had that approved. I have one that's going up and one that's going down. So I bought 2 different types. So they're gonna have, and I talked to my administration. They said yes. So, but this one goes all the way up, so it's gonna cover everything, and there's no pores, there's no openings. So I'm hoping that.
I don't understand those. First of all, yes, I'm seeing Rochelle just stay home. That's what I've been doing. I hardly ever go out.
Don't understand the shield.
At home, so no problem there. But I don't get the shields because isn't it?
It covers everything. There's nothing, just like
I know, but if the kid sneezes, that is into the elements. So couldn't that make its way in?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna get, and they're not gonna get. I'm not gonna get anybody's germs to get their own germs. But I mean, I can't like we talk about phonics stuff. I have to be able to see them.
Yeah,
right. That's why they're ordering those shields for us.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was something that was like in the air that like you breathe it. That's why we're wearing masks, and that why the N95 is good because then it won't like be sucked in, or less to be sucked in, but then it holds it from going out. But if a kid sneezes or coughs and those particles are out into the air, couldn't you just breathe it?
This will be directly in, but like if you use the mask too, it's gonna.
Well, that's what I had heard, that the shields are supposed to be in conjunction with a mask.
You can put that. That's why
that they're supposed to be worn together. But I mean, to me,
that's what I heard.
You're going to the.
I have the backward one though. I have the one going up. The one that goes right here. Yes, you need a mask because for this area. But they somebody invented one that goes completely up. Mm-hmm. Covers
the one that I would do.
Yeah, I think you would like that. It completely goes all the way up, but it's kind of big. So Rochelle, it's not like it's right on your face, so it's kind of tilted out a little bit. So I guess you would sneeze. You
might have to prepare your kids in case they sneeze. It'll be like snot on the shield.
Yeah.
No, like I want like a beekeeper's.
Okay, well, yeah, that
thing that goes over and like over my shoulders. Like I want that kind of thing.
Just wear bubble suits.
Listen, I'm gonna be real. If I was going back into the classroom next year, I would be wearing a hazmat suit.
That's what I want.
I would have a hazmat. Listen, you know why? Because I wouldn't have to worry about what to wear every day. I could be in my pajamas underneath that hazmat suit.
Exactly.
I'm gonna wear a yellow hazmat suit and the helmet. I'm gonna look like Dustin Hoffman off of Outbreak. That is gonna be me.
And
And
you deal with that every time you go to the bathroom.
you know what? I will put a flap in the back.
I want to be the bubble boy bridge when I get to it, the bathroom situation. But like, I'm such like a hypochondriac, and I'm terrified of getting it. Like, I know 3 people personally that have it or have had it. And
well, you know another one now.
She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
So for those, and well, I don't know. Do you want me to announce this, Misty?
Somebody in my family has it.
I didn't even ask first.
Misty, not me, but somebody in my family has it.
I'm sorry. Already put you on the spot there, Misty. I know we've been, it's one of those things until it hits home, you don't realize that, this is real. And, if you know somebody that's got it, I know there are a lot of people and a lot of teachers are up in arms about, I'm not going to wear a mask. I just want to stay home. I don't want to teach. And listen, the teachers that I have been talking to over the last 48 hours, they're scared. And it's very, very real. And if you are feeling scared, listen, you are not alone. Everybody's scared. And it's going to be one day at a time. And I have a feeling we're going to be back to distance learning. I told y'all back in March, I said, I don't think we're starting school in the fall. I called it back in March. And I know there are plenty of schools that are still saying they're
planning it. Yeah. We're planning the options though. Yeah.
Arizona announced we pushed schools back to August 17th. And we got the email today because we had the option. If you want to go and start on your original back to school date, which for us was August 4th, you cannot be in the classroom until the 17th. So if you want to keep your date, you start online. Guess what email I got this morning?
You're starting online.
How on earth? You tell me how a kindergarten teacher with brand new, fresh little kindergartners is going to teach 2 weeks online. I have the first graders who didn't even get to finish their kindergarten year that had all these months to stay home, all the tiers. Like, they're not going to want to come online. It's a nightmare.
It's
a nightmare.
But you know what?
Definitely a nightmare.
Like I say, every single week, we are miracle workers. We are going to make it happen. We are going to make it work and take one day at a time. And listen, if you have to dress up like, that's the one that's coming to the top of my head, you have to dress up like Dustin Hoffman in Outbreak, then our guest tonight is going to be able to help you figure out how to turn that costume into one part of your lesson, I'm sure. But so tonight we are going to be talking about STEM and STEAM. And I guarantee you that a lot of people I got a couple of messages privately about how are we going to do this with everything that's going to be happening this year. Listen, to me, she is the STEM and STEAM queen, to be honest with you. And anytime I wanted to do something STEM related or STEAM related, listen, I don't know the difference between the two. I'm sure she's going to tell us. But anytime I wanted to do something in my classroom, I always went to her stuff because I knew that it was going to be awesome and fabulous. And I'm sure she's going to share with us how we can still do this, even if we're doing social distancing in the classroom and distance learning. But let me get our guest on here, Miss Sarah Barnett from Simply STEAM. Hello, Miss Sarah.
Hey guys. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Farrah. You were so sweet.
It's a calling. It's a calling. I'm telling you.
You did great.
I should go to Hollywood. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So why don't you really quickly, why don't you just introduce yourself? Just go ahead. I know I introed you, but why don't you tell us, what it is you do and grade level, your experience. Just go. You know what to do.
So I started teaching back in 2011. I taught 3rd grade. I've taught 2nd grade for the majority of my career. I've taught 1st grade for an interim position. And then I taught kindergarten too. So I have been K-3. Well, during my first year teaching, I was really just super pumped about teaching and eager to be in the classroom. And my principal knew that. So he had asked all of the veteran teachers if they would take on this STEM coaching position, and they all turned it down. And he asked me, knowing that I was like, oh, yeah. So I stupidly said yes, not knowing what I was getting myself into. But it was what I ended up getting myself into. My first year teaching was staying after school every day from 3:30 until 5 o'clock, coaching kindergarten, first and second graders in STEM. And although I was pretty, I guess, naive when I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. It worked out for my benefit because I learned so much about STEM. And when I went, I stopped that 4 years. I had the only K-2 competitive team in the state of North Carolina. And we competed against 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And in the STEM events, my kids, many years in a row, won first place. And so I really was just proud of my kids, but then they're all coming back. They're like, you did that. And I don't feel like I did, but that they were able to compete with these older kids. So it was amazing. But I stopped that after my 4th year so that I could focus on the classroom because it just became too much because I have 2 of my own children too. And I just wanted to spend more time with them. And so I still wanted to infuse the STEM curriculum into my classroom. And so that's how I did that. And last year I had I taught inclusions for 2nd grade. And that's how I reached those kids was through STEM.
Now, are you currently in the classroom now?
I am not. Last year I did not go back. But my son's kindergarten teacher, she left in the middle of the year. And I was like, I can't let him not have a teacher. So my principal called me up. She's like, can you please take this class? So I said, sure. So I actually started on March 16th, which was the day that yeah. And I was like, how the heck am I going to do this? Like, I don't even know these kindergartners. And I have to teach online, and so of course, like it's a lose-lose situation because you have parents who are going to be mad whether we do A or B, you know? And so I had some very angry parents with me and I just kept going.
Well, I knew this part of your story, and I knew that was going to be so relevant tonight, especially for those that are going to be teaching kindergarten. And I mean, I just kept thinking, listen, if Sarah can come in literally the day that and she can take over a class of kindergartners that she didn't even know, and she can do this online thing, then anybody can. And I'm not, belittling anything that you did, but it's like, listen, she did this. It's possible.
No. If I could do it, anybody can do it. That's the truth. Because I literally, I've had experience learning online, but that was as an adult, not as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to have my son here at home with me to see like what worked and what didn't with him. And he is a hyperactive, very busy little boy.
I have one of those.
Yes.
So let me ask you, so did you do STEM with your students through distance learning?
Yes, we did.
And
it was,
tell us about that. How did that go?
Okay, so we had we were giving them paper packets. That was our thing. So I helped my team. We made paper packets each week to send home. And so that covered the core subjects for reading, writing, and math. So I knew that we were missing out on the science aspect plus the social emotional learning aspect. So what we did is we met on Teams. Now I know some other people meet on Zoom. It's the same thing. So we met on Teams weekly. And as we were meeting weekly, it was not the STEM challenges were not designed for they weren't created for doing the design process. We did STEM challenges to help with the social emotional learning, because it was so stressful for our students because they're scared. Everybody's wearing masks. They can't go to school anymore. They just got a new teacher and they don't know who the heck she is. So they were like thrown completely off. So what we would do is we would meet on Fridays and we would do little like minute to win it things. And so I'd say, okay, so real quick, I'm going to put my timer on, and I'd have a little timer and I'd say, whatever is on your table right now, I want you to only use that and build the tallest tower. And so they try, and it's problem solving because they'd have things like a book or a candlestick or something, that their parents had on the kitchen table, and they try to build it up, and it was really cute because they would see everybody else's and they're like, whoa, but it was just using different materials and stuff. And so then we talk about, well, how did you feel like noticing that candlestick was about to fall off? Like, how did that make you feel? What would you have done if it had fallen and broken into pieces? How would you respond to that? And so it really helped them like think things through, but also they were like still building friendships and connections with one another through technology. And of course, my son, he loved it, anytime we got together, but he'd always run and go get his toys. So he would do little toy reviews because that's what they watch on YouTube.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'm not going to like stop and say, hey, you're not doing that right. Go put that back. Like the teacher in me really wanted to, but I was like,
the mom in me would want to.
Yes. I was like, I just have to take a step back and let them be creative in their own way. And like, and really that was like they're learning how to speak through technology. So that's still STEM interacting through technology and STEAM, because you have the language arts with speaking on technology. So it was really fun. And another thing we did was rainbow. We did a rainbow scavenger hunt. And so they had to go outside and pick flowers or grass or whatever for each color of the rainbow. And then they had to put it in a picture. And so we used Class Dojo, but also if you use Teams or Google Classroom, you can have them submit that picture to you. And so what we're able to do, since, we have all these great apps on our phone, is I take the pictures and I just put a collage together and I send it out to everyone. Look at our rainbow garden,
I love how you didn't, they had to go buy anything. Whatever's in the house, just go outside.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm going to use that idea.
I really feel like right now that this is, even though it's like a really weird time and stressful for all of us, I really feel like it's a great opportunity for us to see the diversity in our own homes. Because if you tell one of the kids like, today you're going to build you're going to create a bridge to hold 10 pounds or something. Don't give them a materials list. See what they come up with at their house. And even if, and I worry about my students because I've had students in the past who have been homeless, and I worry about the materials and the expense and stuff for them as well. But you'll be surprised because the things that they do have, they get really creative with it. And this chick, my little homeless one, she created a nail polish art for me.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I'm like, it's just like a little ink blot, and I'm like, oh, that's the cutest thing ever. I just love it. The fact that she thought of me and wanted to create a painting with nail polish. So
That is
really
so
cool.
sweet. You know, I think that's really, really important for people to remember that, especially as we go into the school year, you know, if you're doing distance learning, regardless of, you know, first of all, we've got the hurdle of just getting our students connected, which hopefully, fingers crossed, schools are a little bit better on board with, you know, coming into the school year. And I'm hearing from a lot of the teachers in my group about the schools are putting in place the technology.
Mm-hmm.
But on somebody's echoing, I don't know who it is. It might be me. But I think it's really important for us to go past that and realize that even in the lessons that you give your students, regardless of whether it's a STEM or, you know, ELA or math or whatever, you need to be thinking about the fact that you don't want these parents going out and having to buy a bunch of supplies, regardless of what it is. And I had somebody, in fact, I had a teacher ask about math manipulatives and trying to put something together for her students to be able to have math manipulatives. And they're talking about virtual math manipulatives and resources for getting virtual math manipulatives. So I think one of the
and something else.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Keep going.
I was just gonna say something else as you were talking about the manipulatives and all of that, Farrah. I was talking to my friend Lisa Taylor, and she and I were talking about how we could get specific items like tape and paper to our students so that we could have those more advanced STEM activities with our kids. And if you're able and you can afford it, I think something that she came up with is she's like, Sarah, I bought these huge, they're like extra big pencil boxes. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm going to fill them up with all their STEM supplies and send them home so that they'll have a STEM kit. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was brilliant. And even if you can't, because those are a little pricey. And I was like, man, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, you could get a gallon-sized Ziploc bag and send it home, and that's their STEM kit. So
what would you include in a STEM kit? That's a good thing. That's a good list to put together for everybody.
I would put rubber bands, craft sticks. I would put paper, obviously tape. Maybe not big paper, but like index cards and straws. I use a lot of straws. And
paper clips, something. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Look, I'm looking around me going.
Q-tips, right?
You know what? Actually, I might use paper clips. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like for kindergarten. Yeah. I like for kindergarten, I like using glue dots. And because all they have to do for that is they just stick it on, there's no mess, and then it just holds everything together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But definitely craft sticks.
Yeah. Chad had a good comment. He said, important to remember that now, for those of you who maybe weren't with us last week, Chad was on the show last week. Go back and watch that show. It was fabulous. We're cutting Sarah's head off. I'm sorry. Important to remember that while school is our most important thing, there's so many other things going on at home. So simple is definitely the key word. Really like these ideas. I love that. Thank you, Chad, for joining us. Again, this week. Go ahead.
Okay, Chad. Business. I don't even know what that is. Business. Okay, when we went to distance learning in the fourth quarter, I did a whole week of this with my kids because every week from the week that we came back until the last day of school, it was theme weeks every single week until we hit ABC Countdown, and then ABC Countdown went through the rest of the year. But I did a whole week where I was like, okay, this is going to be your week to build, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. And I told my kids if they wanted to know the challenge for the day, they had to come to class. And so I had the majority of my kids come to class every day.
Yeah, they want to know, yeah.
They wouldn't know the challenge. And so a lot of the kids showed. And like one of the challenges was they had to build their name 3D. It had to stand up off paper. And the things that these kids came up, like here's one, and it's Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah, that's cool.
And, which means they had to bake them.
I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to like cover her head, but it's toothpicks.
Oh, that's so cool.
We got toothpicks and Play-Doh and lots of
Legos.
Legos.
Oh, that's it, Legos. You know,
And then I told them that they had to build a zoo enclosure for an animal. So like, here's a panda enclosure, popsicle sticks.
Oh, that's cool.
and that was your once a week, right? Did you say, or a whole week?
We did a whole week. So one was the 3D name challenge.
Yeah,
The next one was the zoo challenge. And then I told them they had to build something that's taller than them. So like, this girl was like super pumped because it was her. Or this kid actually made himself taller.
Wow. Paper? What is it?
Hold on just a second. I just wanted to say, Sarah, if you can hear me, you have frozen.
Frozen.
So you might need to refresh and come back. I'm going to message her right now.
Pretty smile.
Keep going.
And then one of the days we read How to Catch the Tooth Fairy. So they had to make tooth fairy traps with just like random things around the house. Like, look, this is how they're going to catch.
What I like. Whatever's around the house. That's awesome. Yeah.
But she said she's going to trick the tooth fairy by putting a doll in a smaller bed to make the tooth fairy think that that's her. I was like, that worked.
You know, and here's the thing. And while we're waiting for Sarah to come back, here's the thing. It's not just about having them build this stuff, but you can incorporate your other, for instance, you were talking about the Rice Krispie treats. You know, if a student had to bake those in order to make that, you know, they could obviously have just bought it, but now they're having to put math skills into place and you know, and so forth to bake and do all of that. But here's the other thing, having them write their process down is working on language skills, is working on writing skills. And there's so many ways that you can take STEM activities and incorporate them into everything. And you know, if you don't have to just rely on worksheets or, you know, anything like that. You can do these fun, creative activities that are going to hit all of their, you know, standards that they need to learn. And then having them, I mean, Rochelle, having them come on and present their project.
Thinking the first grade standards, speaking and listening skills standards right there. Bam.
Yeah. If it was something that they built, they had to keep it. So the next morning we would talk about, okay, so what did we build? Like those who, because it was always like on a want to participate, because I like some kids, they would participate in the ones that got them excited. And then if they weren't super pumped about it, they just would skip that day. And then there was always another challenge the next day. So they picked and chose what ones they felt most comfortable or where their strengths were, which was really eye-opening for me, that I have kids that, and I saw a pattern where I would have the same kids that participated in like the paper pencil, like mapping out and thinking. And then I had the same kids that did the actual creating stuff. And so I saw where my kids' brains were at, like where their strengths were when I did this. And after they were done, I was like, parents, if you could take a picture and send it to me and I can post it on our Instagram so we can share it with all of our friends. And yeah, every single week it was like a different challenge or a different something, so then I could keep the community of them together, even though we were apart. But then it was something to get excited about. It was something that kept them busy for like parents. And then we had a week that was all about social emotional. So it was like, how can we, I think it was like the week of Good Friday, right before Easter. And it was like, we're working on how we can show kindness to somebody, how we can give something to somebody else. Like your family makes you dinner. How about you make them like lunch? You and your brothers and sisters make your parents lunch today. And so like all the social emotional, all the STEM and building. And those were just optional on the side of like what I was doing when I was teaching. And it made a huge difference to them.
Yeah. You know, I think now going to our comments, our audience, what are some questions that you have for Sarah with regard to implementing STEM this year? Now, Sarah, talk about how you would handle STEM in a social distance classroom when they can't share supplies, when they can't be near each other.
So in a social distance classroom setting, I would definitely have their own STEM kits for individual STEM kits. They would be in charge of organizing them, keeping them clean, and all of that. And I know that some challenges require like teamwork and things like that. I think it'd be really interesting to see having these kids go home and take it home to, I don't know, maybe work on it at home with their families and then bring it back. But then again, I'm like kind of concerned about taking germs back and forth, you know? So
Absolutely.
We're all new at this.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe. But there's a lot of individual work too. I think something that would be really interesting to see would be a lot of think, pair, share, where they're able to create something on their own and then they share it with a partner, and then the student and a partner can work together for a few minutes, and then once they've perfected their idea, they can share it with the class and present it that way.
Yeah, talking about your partnering, we were talking about this I was talking about this with another teacher friend of mine, and I was like, if I would still be doing partner work, but would probably be doing it in a sense of they're still going to have to be apart. They're going to have to be that distance apart. But if there were, like, for instance, if there was a STEM activity they were working on, they can put gloves on. Mm-hmm. And they can work with the materials and not be at the materials at the same time, but wear gloves while they're working with the materials, mm-hmm. and then go wash their hands. I mean, they're not necessarily, I would think that would be something that's what we're doing in society is we're wearing gloves.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
That's an incredible amount of teamwork, because then if it's like one partner, okay, you're going to build the first half of the time, so they're going to be in charge of like really the foundation of like their idea, and the other partner has to use their words and communicate like, okay, so this is what you're going to do next, and work verbally, and then switch, and then so the other partner is now in charge of finishing the project while the other one is talking verbally. And so Absolutely. It's a lot of communication, you're building a lot of trust between those students to start and finish an idea that they came up with together, which, it could, in like my ideal classroom, it would be harmonious and beautiful and there wouldn't be any fighting. But in my there might be a few tears, but like, that's how we work through problems, guys. Like, I would definitely have to buzz, but like, what great communication skills and like trust.
We do something like that at the beginning of the school year each year. We do something called Chicken in the Brain. And so what they do is we blindfold one of the students, and they have like bean bags, and they get to throw the bean bags at the other team. And if they tag them with a bean bag, then they're out. The other team who gets hit with it, but they can't see anything. And so the brain has to tell them where to go, where to pick up the beanbag, and the brain can't touch it. And then the brain's like, you're going to throw it over here and this way. And they have to use directional words, left, right, over, beyond, and
reminds me of coding. Like
yeah.
So
we do that. But Rochelle, we did it too with, so we do that game, but then we did it creating butterfly life cycles last year. And they were so funny because they were like, okay, so first you're going to build the egg. And so I was trying to like figure out a way to get them to think on a higher level, because the kids are like, oh, I know what an egg feels like. They're just doing it without listening to the brain. And I'm like, So there's got to be a better way to do this, but it was so fun.
As teachers, I don't know if y'all have, but I know that in our pre-service, we always do the team building activities. And the one that I swear, it seemed like every single year, didn't matter what school I was in, was the one where you have to build you have to cradle the egg. You have to build something that will carry the egg across the room. And your rules are you can't touch the egg. And you got like a paper clip, a rubber band, and a straw. And you got to figure out how to take this egg from one side of the room to the other. And only one person can actually touch the material, or two people can actually touch the materials, whereas everybody else and the two people that can touch the materials can't talk. And they can't do anything that the rest of the group doesn't tell them what to do. So if you've got an idea and you're like, no, you need to do it this way, you can't tell them that, and you can't do it because you got to listen to everybody else. There are so many ways that you could do these activities, and the kids never be around each other. I mean,
right?
there are.
Yeah.
There's really ways you could do this. And so now, Sarah, do you have activities? I know you have a shop. Do you have activities that you think would be really good for either social distancing or distance learning that are more individual, or even those team building ones, and using some of these ideas we shared?
I have, so for kindergarten, I have alphabet STEM, and I think that would work for, alphabet STEM is a STEM challenge for each letter of the alphabet. And included in that has math, the reading, the writing, and the STEM challenge. That to me would be great to send home for weekly, because you could print front to back and literally only have like 10 pages per week to send to the kids, and they do it. And then they do the STEM challenge to go along with it. I think that would be a really good back to school resource to have, because then you can engage them in learning the alphabet. And then I like to infuse STEM as an incentive to my kids, because they get so excited about it. So I have grammar games and math games, and I love games because it's all team building. And so what I do is these games, they play them. You can play it as a board game with a family, or you can choose to play it as a STEM challenge. So what they do is if they answer the question correctly, then they earn materials. So for instance, they can earn 2 Legos for that, answering that question. And then at the end of the game, they have their pile of Legos, and then they can select a card, and the card tells them what to build, and they have to build it or create it in like 2 to 3 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah.
And they can only use whatever materials they gained
from the question. Yeah, from the questions they got.
I like that. I like that.
So
Michelle and I think she's still doing Lego. I'm doing Lego same room, and she is.
So that one's from my math games, and I just completed the kindergarten bundle, but I have it available also for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. And then I also have grammar games too, and it's kind of the same way where it's self-checking, and they can do the STEM challenge through that. But really, I think any of my STEM challenges too would be okay to do at either in the class or out of the classroom, because a lot of them have the writing components, and they can still type it, their responses and their thinking in there, but there's also reading included in it. So I try to, as much as I can, when I'm like doing a big or like a more advanced STEM project, I try to make those scientific discoveries intentional. So I always include reading with that, so they can learn more about that, whatever scientific topic that it is that we want to study. So I have those too.
But it's not just about doing the project. There's other, and that's what I think when you froze, that's what we had started talking about, is how you can take a STEM activity and you can incorporate math into it, obviously, but you can incorporate the writing portion. You can incorporate reading, because that you can give them things that they need to read that go along with whatever the scientific part of it is. And you could really have a STEM project that hits all of your standards.
Oh yeah, and the kids don't even have no idea.
They have no idea.
They're having fun,
And they really do. In K, I've noticed with K, really through third grade, they are super motivated by STEM challenges because they're like, oh yeah, we get to build. But when they get to about fifth grade, and I've coached them this past year, I coached them, they were more like, a little more attitude about it.
Yeah.
So, that lower age range, though, they are so excited about it. As it should be. It's fun.
It is. It absolutely is.
That's what we like the little one.
That's why we like the little one.
Yeah, third and under.
This is the quietest.
Sarah, I did want to do what?
I said, this is the quietest our chat has ever been.
I know.
So
I was thinking it was frozen.
Did y'all disappear? Y'all
no, they're still here, but I'm like, our chat is frozen. So I'm not sure if you are commenting. We are not seeing it. So if you have questions for Sarah, definitely leave it. They're probably frantically taking notes, because
that's what I'm saying. Like, I gotta figure out what I'm doing for the first 2 weeks.
We got a thumbs up.
Or what have anybody else done? Y'all put that in the comments.
Sarah, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say, Sarah?
I was gonna say, I wanted to mention another really neat STEM activity, and this is citizen science. And if you are interested in doing citizen science with your class, what that is you do, your kids will do things in their backyard or at their house, and they will load what they've observed onto the computer. And so one of the ones that I've done before was CocoRahs, and that's CoCorahs. And it is where we have a
spell that again.
rain gauge.
Coco, all one, no spaces.
Yes, it's all one word. It's CoCorahs.
Okay.
And so we had a rain gauge. And so if the families want to participate in it, they can get the rain gauge. And what they do is daily they go outside and they look at how much precipitation has fallen. And we record that on the computer. And what it does is it pulls up these maps where you can see other backyards in your town and how much precipitation they may have gotten or may not have gotten. So it's so cool. So they not only are getting science, they're getting geography with it as well by looking at the maps. And then they're helping out with real scientists with the meteorologists in these clouds and how much water it's dumping out. Another one that a friend of mine did was Frog Watch USA. And that ties in with sound. And so what these kids do is they go out, they learn the frog sounds, and they go outside for 3 minutes and they sit like this for 3 minutes and they don't say a word. And then after the 3 minutes is up, the frogs are acclimated to them being outside. So they'll start being more vocal. And these kids will jot down what they're hearing, what species of frogs they're hearing. And again, they go back and then they enter it in on the website. And you can see these graphs are just insane, how they show what types of frogs come out and when. And I'm like, wait, we have frogs in November? We do.
And what's the site again, Sarah? I know. Okay, so what was the original site you said?
Frog Watch USA.
That's before the
CocoRahs.
Right before that, you said something. It was another site, maybe.
I think it was her site.
Oh no, it's the CocoRahs website.
It was
CocoRahs. Okay. So it's all in there. And I think that stands for, I forget what it stands for, but it's Colorado. I know it has to do with Colorado University. So something in Colorado.
There it is. Thank you. Citizens. That's what I was asking.
Citizen science.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And thanks, Cal. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Kelly. And you can go, if you just do a quick Google search too, I'm sure you'll find like other things for citizen science that you can do with your classroom that they can do at home. And it's all stuff in their own yard. There's bird watching, all sorts of really neat things. So even if, you're worried that they may not have these supplies or you're just really stressed out about it, like this is another opportunity to incorporate STEM into your classroom.
Love
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't
Well,
think there's frogs out here.
No, but you have scorpions. Don't even get me started on those scorpions.
Oh, don't even get me started on the scorpions out here. We got
my
scorpions in the summertime.
Looking for
Rochelle, there's a really neat citizen science one. I don't know the name of it, but I'm sure if you research it, you'll find it. It is where you get like a webcam and you set it up in your yard. And then you can it's like a hunting camera or something. And you can see what animals have been in your yard. And then you share it. Yes. And so we don't have scorpions, but we would have snakes, possibly an alligator,
Or it's a possum. I found a possum outside of 345 this morning to let my dog out.
Coming to visit you.
There could have been on the back wall when I was in the pool this morning, but I'm pretty sure it was just a really large lizard, but I called it a Gila monster.
It looked big.
When my kids, when they see that from your area, they would be mind blown because we don't have that here.
That's a good idea.
And so there's classes in India that have these. So think about the things that go through their schoolyard. They have tigers. We had a black bear one year. So
these are all things, these are all things that you can do when you're, if you're having to teach the distance learning, let's move past I got to log onto a computer. Let's move past the fact that I've got to engage 20 kindergartners through a video screen. The fact is, adults that do this on the regular, we're trying to engage a group of adults, and you can do it. You just have to find the ways to do it. And the fact of the matter is most of your students, and this was something that I was very interested to watch back in March, was I've been one-to-one. Sarah, have you ever been you've been one-to-one in your classroom before with devices? Yes.
Oh, yes. We were one-to-one, for my whole second grade and then third grade also. So for about 5-6 years, yeah.
And so I'm sure you've experienced this, that your kids usually know more about the technology than you do. And so I found it really interesting in the spring when everybody was worried about going to distance learning. I was like, the kids aren't going to be the problem. I was like, the kids are going to be like, move.
Everybody knows in their classroom when your projector goes out or something, or if your computer freezes, that all of a sudden you've got so many technicians in your classroom that's oh my God. They know exactly what their parents say when stuff goes on at their house with how they troubleshoot for it. If you just hit it, it'll turn right back on. Or if you turn it off and turn it back on, it'll work. Maybe just change the light bulb, so what's set at home. But you have a bunch of tech kids that can probably figure out your problem.
Oh, they can
say the ask 3 then me rule, and it works. Yep. And my neighbor actually got to loop up with him from second grade to third grade, and I was really proud and really upset with him at the same time, because they had to do 15 minutes of iReady math every single day. And he gets on there and he's like, look, Mom, I did 236 minutes. And I was like, wow. And I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, Ashley, my neighbor, his mom, I'm like, Ashley, look at this. His graph says 236 minutes. And she comes over there and she looks and she's like, something just doesn't look right. I said, yeah, look at that pie chart. Like, it's not going all the way around like you would think. He learned how to code on his computer to change everything on the screen. So I said, Kyler, like, we've got to fix this, you know? And then I was like, you know, you can't do this ever again. But let me show you how to fix this pie chart, okay?
Oh my God.
So,
you know, that was my whole thing.
Really
back
proud,
in
but
the
at the same time,
So
yeah.
Well, and that was my thing back in the spring was I was like, and I know it was stressful. There were so many teachers that were thrown into using technology that they either didn't have access to or they refused to use because, you know, let's be real. There's some teachers that just didn't ever want to use it. But, you know, and people were thrown into using platforms and using Google Classroom and using all this stuff. And it was very stressful for teachers. And I don't want to take away from that at all. But I want you to remember going into this next year that your kids will be fine. Focus on a lot of that social emotional stuff and making those connections, especially with your kinders that are starting school, those younger grades. Focus on that because the kids actually getting onto stuff, they've got this. If you can keep parents out of the picture, the kids have got it. And I mean, I remember when I got my very first iPhone, something happened and I couldn't make it work. And I literally handed it to a first grader and was like, fix this. And they were like, here you go. Thank you. So, Chad says tech in their world is a given. That's why they get so excited to use other things. Learn tech just documents and shares the learning. I love that. Absolutely. Yes. And that leads right into what we've been talking about is don't think that everything's got to be digital. You've got to do digital worksheets. You've got to do digital. No, you can do things like Sarah has shared with us today that get them away from the technology and they're still learning. And I love that. So be sure and jump over to Sarah's website. It is simply esteemeducation.com. And then can they get to your store from your website?
Yes, they can.
Okay. And I'm assuming you're okay if they email you, if they've got questions.
I know absolutely. Yes, go for it.
She's on Instagram. Ask her all the questions that you want to ask her. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
You're awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun tonight with all of you. Thank you.
It has been so much fun. And stick around in the green room and we'll chat with you after the show. But thank you so much. Guys, y'all give her a great big thank you as we say goodbye to Sarah. And Sarah, we'll see you in the green room in just a moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are super excited to bring you this each week. I know it's the highlight of my week because I get to see other human faces.
Yes, right.
So isolated, but thank you so much. We missed Carlonda this week. We love you so much, Carlonda. We are waiting for you to come back next week. I know she had her meeting the week before, got called last minute, and then she's super sick this week. But also, I want you to know we started kind of the summer off with talking about a lot of the stuff that was going on with diversity in the classroom and so forth. And then we kind of stepped into more getting people prepared. We've got some guests lined up for the show to come back and talk about some of those issues with regard to diversity for our Black and brown students and things that we need to make sure we're paying attention to in the classrooms this year. We've got some resources and some guests that we've got coming on, but we decided we needed to give them a break. And I know that was something Carlonda and I talked about. Take a break because they're tired. They have been doing a lot over the last couple of weeks and letting them take a break. So never fear, it's coming back. We have not forgotten about any of that. They will be back. But we are going to continue with our talk. Next week, we have a guest coming on to do a tutorial for Seesaw. So we're super excited. I know.
Damn. Michelle's like, hey.
You're going to need a note. Eventually,
put it on your calendar.
I will write it on my calendar because it's quite empty. So I get
a notebook for you.
It's like I have a training. I have a plan.
You have a plan. Well, super huge hugs and thank you to Sarah for coming on last minute because our guest that was going to come on and do Seesaw this week had an emergency in the family with her husband. And I gave her the option and I said, listen, I know if you need to be there with him. And she was like, I really think I just want to focus on him. I said, no worries. I contacted Sarah and she was on it. So I big, huge shout out and thank you to Sarah for stepping up last minute. We appreciate it. All right, guys. Whew, another show, another day, another show. And we're super excited that you joined us. Guys, regardless of what next year looks like, you got this. You are educational rock stars. You are miracle workers, and it will all be okay. Just take a deep breath and say it with me. Everybody say it will be okay. Ready? It will be okay.
I was talking to Julie about that today.
Yeah, it will be okay. Deep breaths. All right, guys.
We will
see you next week. Same Blab channel, same Blab time. See you next week. Keep being educational rock stars. Bye, guys.